John Roberts. I was Gunners Make Guns senior chief, and in 1974-75 I went in the Navy Reserve, and I was in about a year, and I switched over to the Seabees, and from that time on till January the 1st of 1998 I was in Seabees. I was in a couple different units. The majority of my time was spent with Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 24. Ended up making senior chief master at arms of the battalion. In 1990, we were recalled for Operation Desert Storm. We first heard that we were getting recalled, and they were taking the active battalion out of Puerto Rico. So we were going to Puerto Rico. Man, that's great, we'll be in Puerto Rico. They hadn't sent us to Puerto Rico, they sent us to Saudi Arabia. We ended up in Saudi Arabia, but it was a good, we were in Desert Storm, we were in Al Jabal, Saudi Arabia, Camp 13. I had a son born, my baby boy was born while we were there. We operated in all over southern Saudi Arabia, NMCB 24. And I ended up being closer to the Seabees, than I was to the Fleet Navy. Well, I think the camaraderie of the Seabees is more lasting. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, certainly your camaraderie when you're young and you're on a ship, and it's something like the Douglas H. Fox was the best ship in the Navy. And I mean, I saw guys go to captain's mast, and because you end up being witness and stuff, and they go to captain's mast, and they'd say, well, why'd you get in this fight? And they'd say, well, sir, they said something about the Fox. They said the officers suck. And I wasn't going to let them talk about our officers like that. So we ended up in a fight. And it would be something like that. And I've always heard your last duty station was your best duty station. And that's probably right. And of course, being in the reserves and staying in NMCB 24 for years, because basically I was in it from 1976 until 1998, except for a period of time that I went out of it and then came back in it. And there were guys that you were all second class, and then you made first class together, and then you made chief together, and then you made senior chief together, and then you made master chief, or some of them made master chief, and you went on duty weekends for years and years and years, and you went on active duty, and then finally you get the call that you worked on all your life, and you go to war together. And that kind of bond, I'm closer to some of my boys there than I am to my brother. And I've got 5 brothers. And as we talked about, my dad spent years in the Navy. He was on the Yorktown CV-5. Yes. He was in the Navy when I was born. Out of there's 6 boys, 4 of my brothers retired from the Navy. Well, actually, 4 of them retired from the Navy. One of them did not. He was in, but he did not retire. And one of them was a Secret Service agent. He could not be in the Navy. So the whole family's Navy, and I was only enlisted. All the rest of them are officers. They're from captain, 1 captain, 2 commanders, and 1, I think, Lieutenant JG. But I was senior chief, I outrank them all. Chiefs running the Navy.